Hello, I am Mac, at least for a day, and everything's going to be okay. This is going to be my review of Mazey Day, an episode in Black Mirror Season 6. Now, Mazey Day is, I'll just start out by saying I think it's a pretty bad episode for several reasons, and we'll get into that. And very important to note, this video will spoil all of the plot for Mazey Day. I'll be going through the whole plot and explaining good and bad points and why they're bad or why they're good if there are any good points. So if you don't want the episode spoiled, make sure you watch it first before you watch this, or if you don't care, then go ahead and watch. All right, so Mazey Day is about a paparazzi. If you don't know, a paparazzi is a person who takes pictures of celebrities and uh, sells them to publications, magazines, etc., um, for money. So paparazzi have a very bad reputation because there'll be tons of them and they hound celebrities, and celebrities don't have really any privacy under the law, unfortunately for them, because court cases have decided that since they are a public figure, they don't really have any privacy outside of their private property. So when they're in public, anyone can take pictures of them, and those pictures are the property of the person who took them. They're not the property of the celebrity who's in the picture. Um, so Bo is a female paparazzi, or she's acting as a paparazzi some of the times. I mean, it's not like her main profession, it seems, but it's something that she does for money. And at the beginning of the episode, she is outside of a hotel or a motel, not like a fancy hotel, but a motel, which is kind of it has the doors to the rooms are on the outside and everything. Um, and she takes pictures of a celebrity and a male friend who are coming out of the motel, and she gets noticed by the celebrity, the man, the actor, I guess he is, and he comes over to her and knocks on her window, and she gets scared because she's not used to being accosted by celebrities that she takes pictures of, I guess. And he says, please, can I buy those pictures for $500, please? Because he doesn't want people to know that he was with a guy friend at a motel. And she just gets scared and drives away. And she ends up selling, or she goes to this guy who's like, some guy with a magazine or maybe a website or something that is going to publish the video, the pictures, and he offers her $250 for the pictures, and she's like, what, these are worth at least 300, and I think she talks him up to 300. So keep in mind that the celebrity was willing to pay 500 for them. She only got like 300 for them. And then it skips ahead to, it's probably a few days later, and she's somewhere and she sees on a TV that the celebrity she took pictures of hung himself in his mansion because his girlfriend found out. The report, the celebrity report, talks about how, a few days ago, these pictures of him leaving a motel with another guy um surfaced, and then his girlfriend broke up with him, and then he hung himself in his mansion. So Bo, the paparazzi girl, I'm probably just going to call her paparazzi girl sometimes, she feels really bad because for one thing, she could have gotten $500 because the guy was offering her $500. She only got to sell the pictures for 300, and then he killed himself. So she could have gotten more money, and the guy wouldn't have killed himself. She feels really guilty about this. She basically vows she's not going to do paparazzi work anymore. So then later, she's working at a coffee shop and trying to make money that way. And she has this roommate who's kind of funny. He's like this really awkward guy, and like he reads from he reads from cue cards when he talks to her because he's like really socially awkward, and he's basically her landlord or a roommate that she's renting with. And he comes to her and like reads from cue cards and says that he needs her to pay the rent, and she's like, I'll get it, I'll pay the rent. And he reads thank you from his cue card and leaves. So she's short on money, she has to pay the rent or she's going to get kicked out. So she's at the her coffee shop working, and like this other guy who is, I guess, kind of her friend, who's also a paparazzi. He's probably the guy that like got her into doing paparazzi work and whatnot. He comes and he's like, "Hey, haven't you heard?" And she's like, "I'm busy working right now." And so after she's done working, he talks to her outside. And okay, so um I skipped something because there's a separate scene which you don't know how it's connected, but there's like this female actress. You can tell she's an actress. She's in like a fancy mansion or a hotel room or something, and she's like practicing her lines for whatever movie or TV show she's about to be in. And it's we find out later her name is Mazey Day. That's what the name of the episode is from. So this actress is practicing her voice lines, and I guess she's bored, so she takes out a bag of shrooms, hallucinogenic shrooms, eats one of those, and then she drinks a bunch of wine, and so she gets really high and tipsy, and kind of like looks in the mirror and starts dancing around the room and stuff, and she ends up breaking her wine glass. And she's high and not thinking straight. She starts picking up the glass with her hands, and I'm like, no, don't pick up the glass with your hands. And of course, she cuts her finger, and she's really worried about her finger bleeding. So she gets the bright idea to, I guess, drive to the hospital because she cut her finger. Obviously, she's not thinking straight. She's high and drunk, and stupidly tries to drive to the hospital because her finger's bleeding, and she ends up hitting someone on the road. And it doesn't show you who they are, it just looks like a body in the road. And she gets out of the car and staggers towards the body, and then the scene cuts and you don't know what happens after that. So then like the next day, her chauffeur is driving her, which if she had a chauffeur, why didn't she call him? But it was late at night, so I guess she couldn't get her chauffeur to take her, and she was worried about her finger and wasn't thinking straight, so she tried driving herself. But anyway, they come in upon where the police are around where this body was, where the accident happened. And they're saying that it's in the Czech Republic, like they're talking another language. Like I guess she's in the Czech Republic, like she's an American actress, but she's in the Czech Republic for filming a movie or something, I don't know. um and they say that it was a hit and run and there was a man that was killed. And she's like looking really guilty, or you think she's feeling really guilty about what happened. And then that scene ends, and then yeah, as I was saying, so paparazzi girl Bo is being convinced by her paparazzi guy friend that they should try to get pictures of Mazey Day. So he explains to her that Mazey Day like walked off the scene, quit, and they think it was because she's addicted to drugs. Quit the movie or whatever she was filming in the Czech Republic, and now she's back in Hollywood, back in LA or wherever, and they're offering $30,000 to get pictures of her. And so Mazey Day or Bo is like, she's really short of money, and $30,000 would be great. So he convinces her to get back into paparazzi work to at least take a picture of Mazey Day so that she can get $30,000 for a picture of her. So Mazey Day is staying with this other like rich, you don't know at the time who he is, but she's at this really big mansion which isn't hers. We find out it belongs to this other guy. And you see her and she's like really freaking out, and you think it's just that she's guilty that she hit a guy. And then like she breaks a bunch of stuff in the house and whatnot, and you think it's because like she's getting over her addiction, or she just feels so depressed and angry with herself that she's breaking stuff in the house. And so anyway, Bo is outside the mansion in her car, just staking it out so she can take a picture whenever Mazey Day shows, because she believes that's where Mazey Day is. And then the doctor, so the guy whose mansion it belongs to is a doctor, and he comes and he tells Mazey Day that they're going to take her away to a rehab center for a few days so that they can take care of what's going on with her. And they don't really state exactly what's going on. I do kind of like this episode does a really good job of hiding what's actually going on, and then it has a twist later, but for other reasons I really dislike it. So the Mazey Day gets in this SUV with the chauffeur and drives out of the building, and Bo sees it, and for whatever reason she's like sure that Mazey Day is in the vehicle. I think maybe she like spots her but isn't able to take a picture inside it. So Bo follows the vehicle and they go way out of town, out into like a rural area. And finally the vehicle that Mazey Day is at stops at like a small town diner, and Bo parks there too. And the whole time I'm thinking they probably know that she is following them. She's been following them for hours. And I was right, because the chauffeur or whoever, like a bodyguard, comes out and takes like a screwdriver and stabs all of Bo's tires and lets all the air out of them. And Bo's like, what are you doing? But she doesn't get out of the car because she doesn't want to get into a fight with the guy. So this bodyguard guy slashes her tires basically, and then they get back in the car and drive away. So she's stuck there at this diner. So Bo, the paparazzi girl, goes into the diner, and she's feeling really bad because great, all my tires are flat now and I'm not going to be able to get a picture of Mazey Day. And the guy at the diner, which I really like this character, the diner guy. I don't even know if he has a name. And he's basically like coffee shop guy number 3, because there are a bunch of other coffee shop guys earlier in the show, but he's like really friendly and nice, and she gets some information from him and finds out that the rehab center is just super nearby, and she realized, oh, that's the rehab center that Mazey Day is at. And he says, but there's nobody else there. Somebody booked every single cabin at the rehab center, and there's only one person there. And so she knows that, okay, so the only person there is Mazey Day, and I really need to get there and get pictures of her. So she calls her other paparazzi guy friend, and he has a motorcycle. So he comes with a motorcycle. She gets on the motorcycle with him, and they drive to the rehab center. And then really dumb part is that supposedly there was a tracker on the guy's motorcycle, and these other 2 paparazzi guys show up in a vehicle, and so now they're there too. So basically the plot needed 2 more expendable characters, so they basically got summoned out of the ether to be a part of the plot. It's a pretty contrived plot device that, oh, we had a tracker on your motorcycle and so we're here now, because as you'll see that they basically needed expendable extra characters. So they break into the rehab center. It's got a big fence. It's basically a rich celebrity rehab center. So they dig a hole under the fence and they get in, and they find the one cabin where there are people at, and she sees the bodyguard guy that slashed tires, and they see the doctor guy, and they're like, whoa, it's so and so, it's this famous doctor to the stars. And she's like, isn't he like some kind of weird herbalist or something? He's not even really a doctor. And they're like, we don't know, whatever. And so the bodyguard guy, and they hear like power tools in the cabin and stuff. It's really weird. So the bodyguard guy and the doctor guy leave, and so they go up closer, and like there's there's almost no way to see in, but they're like able to get through a hole, get a picture through a hole. And they look at the picture and she's on a bed and she's all chained up. So she's chained on the bed, and they're like, what's going on? And the paparazzi guy friend says, oh, they must be chaining her up for the cold turkey. So like she's addicted to drugs, so and she's trying to get off the drugs, so they're chaining her up. And Bo is like, what? That's totally illegal. And so, since she's had this episode where she let another celebrity die because she took picture of them, like she wants to save this girl, I guess. So she grabs a rock and she breaks the padlock on the cabin. The other guys are like, what are you doing? But they don't really stop her because, this is a good chance for them to get actual good pictures of Mazey Day. So she breaks into the cabin, and Mazey Day's on the bed and she's out of it. She's in a daze, and she's changed the floor. And so Bo like starts breaking the chain, and the other guys are looking around. And a really weird thing is that there's goats chained in the corner. And they're like, what is going on here? And so Bo breaks the chains, gets Mazey Day unchained, and she's like, no, leave me alone, get out of here. And they think, that she's just like, really addicted and trying to get over her drug addiction. And this is the part where everything gets ruined. The moon, so it's nighttime now, the moon is in like a skylight. The full moon comes out from the clouds, and Mazey Day really starts to freak out and thrash around, and it flashbacks to when she hit the guy in the Czech Republic. It shows her getting out of the car and getting close to it, and it's not a human, it's a werewolf. Well, it is a human, but he's in werewolf form, and the werewolf bites her. So this is why the episode is really bad, and why a lot of people actually really dislike it and dislike this season, because this is the first time that Black Mirror has introduced a supernatural episode. In fact, there's 2 episodes with supernatural things, and we'll be doing the other supernatural episode in the next video. But yeah, so Mazey Day is a werewolf, and like I've said, my criteria for Black Mirror, like most Black Mirror episodes are about technology that we have in our time, and it's like it's a not too distant future, and it's showing how technology can be bad on human society. But now it's introducing supernatural stuff. A lot of people are upset about that. Like, Black Mirror is supposed to be sci-fi, and it's supposed to be about technology. The name Black Mirror refers to the black screen on a smartphone. That's what most people think, is that Black Mirror is supposed to be about technology. It's supposed to be sci-fi. It's supposed to be about the bad effects that our technology can have on our society. Most episodes are like that. Some aren't, some are a bit different, but for the majority, they're like that. But never have we had supernatural things like werewolves come into play. So it's really upsetting, and I was really upset by this, and I know other people are. I've seen Reddit threads where people are like, so are we okay with Black Mirror being supernatural now? So anyway, so Mazey Day starts to transform to a werewolf, and I mean, it's really good special effects. The werewolf is really cool looking. It's not like in some movies where the werewolf is dumb. I mean, this is like a really good I wish there were more werewolves like this in movies. Like the old Wolfman movies and like Harry Potter werewolf were all really bad looking, but this is like a really cool looking werewolf. But still, it's awful that they put a werewolf in Black Mirror. So she transforms, and like I said, the other paparazzi guys that got summoned out of nowhere by the plot contrivance, they get killed first because we needed more expendable people to show how dangerous the werewolf are. So Bo and her paparazzi guy friend make a run for it. They go back down under the fence. The werewolf comes after them. They make it back to the diner. And at the diner, so this is the part I really dislike, again, is there's this like middle-aged cop guy. He's like your typical stereotypical small town cop, and he's at the diner and he's talking to the nice diner guy whose character I like. And he's like, oh, that was the best pecan pie ever. And he starts like talking on and on about how good the chicken was and stuff. And so Bo and her paparazzi guy friend, sorry I didn't memorize that character's name, but they run into the diner and they're both screaming, it's coming, and they're pointing, it's coming and coming. And this is the absolutely incredibly stupid part, is that the policeman completely ignores that they're pointing and saying that it's coming. He just stares at them. He's like, calm down. You need to calm down. Stop panicking. It's like they're pointing at something and they're telling him, look out, something is coming. And he's just like freaking out at them and telling them to calm down. It's so incredibly stupid. Like no one would actually act like that. If people are screaming, look over there, it's coming, a policeman would turn around and look at what they're talking about. And like the werewolf is running up through the window, you can see it coming, and the policeman refuses to turn around and look at it. It's the most stupid part ever. It's so cliche. It's basically the equivalent of, you know, he's right behind you and is like, I'm not turning around and looking, you're trying to trick me. It's like, oh my gosh, like the policeman is such an incompetent idiot, and I hate that that character even exists. So then Bo tries to take the gun from the policeman, and so that makes the policeman grab her and restrain her because she's trying to steal his gun, and then he puts her in handcuffs. The whole time other people are screaming because they see the werewolf coming. um Luckily the policeman doesn't have time to completely handcuff her. I think he just puts the handcuff on one of her hands. So the werewolf breaks through the window and starts killing other customers at the diner. And finally the policeman realizes it and turns around and tries shooting at the werewolf. And then the worst thing ever happens. I said that the policeman part was the worst, but I mean, everything involving police is the worst, because so really nice diner guy, really nice coffee employee number three. I think this guy might be like, because he looks like someone that might be a celebrity or something. So I think he might have been a cameo role or something. But regardless, he's a super nice guy and really cool character, even though he gets like just a few lines in the show. But what happens is the policeman shooting at the werewolf jumps on him, and his arm goes out and he shoots the cafe guy in the head. And so in like 1 second, the cafe guy dies. Like he immediately dies by getting shot in the head by the policeman, the incompetent idiot policeman. It's such a stupid way to kill off such a likable character, the cafe guy. um I really hated that part. It's like I had to rewind and look at it. It's like, did what happened just seriously happen? Because it takes place in like 1 second where he gets shot in the head. I would have liked it if like the cafe guy did something heroic, like even if he ended up being killed by the werewolf, like he could have done something heroic like protecting Bo before he died. But he just gets shot in the head by the incompetent policeman. Ugh. So anyway, everyone else dies, including Bo's paparazzi guy friend, except for Bo. So it's at the end, Bo is able to grab the policeman's gun after he dies, and so the werewolf is charging at her, and she shoots the werewolf, who is Mazey Day, the actress, and somehow all of the gunshots at the policeman didn't stop the werewolf, but somehow Bo is a good enough shot to take down the werewolf. So the werewolf falls down and then transforms back into Mazey Day. And Mazey Day asks Bo to shoot her. And Bo's not about to murder someone herself. So she hands the gun to Mazey Day, and Mazey Day puts the gun up to her own head. And like a good paparazzi, Bo takes out her camera and gets ready to take a picture. And then the final shot is zooming out from the diner and you hear the gunshot. So Mazey Day killed herself. So, okay, let's go over this episode. I already talked about how it's bad because it introduces supernatural things, but the other thing is, so it's not as bad as Beyond the Sea, my first video I did on a Black Mirror episode 6 episode, because it actually does have some themes about society. Beyond the Sea had nothing to say about society, nothing significant. Um, but then Mazey Day's message about society is basically paparazzi bad. Like, we already knew that paparazzi drives celebrities crazy and sometimes, I guess, drive them to kill themselves. Like happened in this episode, the first guy that Bo was taking pictures of killed himself. There's a lot of controversy about how invasive paparazzi are. Like with Prince Harry and Meghan, they've been basically fighting the press that enable paparazzi to be such a pervasive problem in our society. But the way the Mazey Day episode presents this, it's like it's not realistic. I mean, it's not. I mean, it shows a whole lot of how obnoxious paparazzi are with taking pictures. Like when they were taking pictures of Maisie Day when she was chained to the bed, it's like they were constantly flash, 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 taking picture. And Bo is like trying to unchain her. Is like, guys, can you please stop taking pictures for a second while I do this? But it doesn't really go over, systemically why this is a problem. It's just like saying that paparazzi are all bad. But I mean, the reason they do what they do, which I guess the episode kind of shows it, is that like people need money and publications will pay a lot of money for pictures of celebrities. And that's why paparazzi get so desperate to take these pictures because there's a lot of money in it. Maybe if we could somehow cut that off, but because of free speech laws, they have a right to take the pictures, and because of popular culture, people want pictures of celebrities. So I don't know how we would change things um without like messing up free speech laws. You see how there is something a little good about this episode because it does get you talking about social problems, but the way it presented it is so bad. And then to have a werewolf, like, that has nothing to do with it. Like, paparazzi aren't releasing werewolves to kill people. That's not something that happens. So that doesn't say anything significant. It's not saying paparazzi are bad because they're going to release werewolves to kill people. Like that's not in the real world. And then, there's the whole problem that this introduces supernatural. This and another episode in the season introduced supernatural things into Black Mirror, which a lot of people don't like. I think people would prefer that it stayed sci-fi and stayed um, social commentary about technology we actually have. There's not really any technology involved in this episode except for cameras that paparazzi use, but I mean, those have been around for 100 years, although they get a little more advanced, but nothing about camera technology was a problem in this episode. So yeah. And then of course there's the horrible incompetent cop and how that really stupid scene where everyone dies except for Bo happens at the end of the episode. This episode was graciously only 40 minutes long, so unlike the extremely self-indulgent Beyond the Sea episode, this episode was only as long as it needed to be. It was only 40 minutes, while the typical Black Mirror episode is about an hour. Um, so I am glad that it was short because, it didn't really have anything significant to say other than paparazzi bad, and here's a werewolf that kills a bunch of people. So yeah, Maisie Day is a pretty awful episode, not as bad as Beyond the Sea. I would give Maisie Day a 3 out of 10 because it does have some slight social commentary, and it's kind of cool how it hides what's actually going on because I mean, I wasn't predicting that there was anything to do with a werewolf until it actually started to happen. She started to turn into a werewolf. But I mean, it's fairly easy to hide what's actually going on from an audience, especially when we weren't expecting something supernatural to happen like a werewolf, because that's never been in Black Mirror. So anyway, yeah, 3 out of 10. Maisie Day is a very bad episode, and it really kind of breaks the um Black Mirror canon because a lot of people have thought Black Mirror may be a shared universe because a lot of technologies are shared between episodes. Like there's this technology that's like just a little device you put on your temple and then your brain can go into virtual reality. There's like 4 or 5 Black Mirror episodes that use that technology. So people thought this might be a shared universe, a not too distant future, where, you know, a lot of the events, and that may still be the case, like a lot of the episodes are a shared universe, but this episode and the other episode that I'll be doing next time that's about something supernatural basically establish that Black Mirror is not completely a shared universe, or if it is, it's a shared universe that also has supernatural things in addition to technology. Yeah, so it kind of messes up the Black Mirror canon and the way Black Mirror works. And it just wasn't that great of an episode. So 3 out of 10 for Mazey Day, but there are better episodes. This was the second worst. Beyond the Sea was the worst, in my opinion. This is the second worst. We've got 3 more episodes to do, which I'll be doing. There's a couple pretty good episodes in the season. And well, the next one isn't that good, but one more pretty negative one, and then we'll have a couple good episode reviews to do. But that does it for my video on Mazey Day, season 6 of Black Mirror. I've been Mac. Thank you for joining me for a day, and remember, everything's going to be okay.